breaking news.
Welcome to The Lead. I'm Jake Tapper, and we start, of course, with the breaking news. Former Trump advisor Steve Bannon has been indicted by a grand jury. An arrest warrant, we are told, will soon be signed by a judge. The indictment coming after Bannon refused a subpoena from the House Select Committee investigating the January 6th insurrection.
Looks like Steve Bannon will be back in handcuffs quite soon. The former Trump aide has been indicted for blowing off congressional subpoenas. Welcome into TYT's Overruled. I am your host, Adrienne Lawrence. Yes, a grand jury in the District of Columbia has indicted Stephen Kevin Bannon for failing to respond to the subpoenas issued by the Congressional Committee overseeing the January 6th investigation. Former President Trump had directed Bannon and former aides to ignore those subpoenas, arguing that executive privilege applies. But as I've explained in previous editions of Overruled, that executive privilege argument is likely bunk here, given that the sitting president is the one who gets to exercise the privilege. And at this point, that sitting president is not Donald J. Trump. Let's talk a little bit more about the charges of this indictment. Now let's talk about the charges in this indictment. So one contempt count is related to Bannon's refusal to appear for a deposition. And that other contempt count, well, it's for his refusal to produce documents for the committee. This indictment is a first of its kind, because no one ever has been prosecuted for contempt of Congress when executive privilege has been purportedly asserted. But there's been oodles of firsts when it comes to the Trump administration, right? So what does Bannon potentially face for deciding that he would go ahead and stand up for crony Donald Trump, whether he was legally right or not? Well, contempt of Congress is a misdemeanor. That means that each count maxes out at about a year in prison, and it has a minimum of 30 days in jail, as well as a fine of about $100 to $1,000. The judge gets to decide what the penalty holds here should the prosecution succeed. And the nation's top prosecutor had a thing or two to say about today's indictment of Steve Bannon. Attorney General Merrick B. Garland had this to say in a statement. Since my first day in office, I have promised Justice Department employees that together we would show the American people by word and deed that the department adheres to the rule of law, follows the facts and the law, and pursues equal justice under the law. Today's charges reflect the department's steadfast commitment to these principles. For those of you who wanted to witness somewhat of a drama of having the U.S. Marshals hunt down the 67-year-old Husky Republican, well, I am sorry to disappoint you, because according to reports on MSNBC, Bannon is expected to surrender himself on Monday and to appear in court that afternoon. Now, this would not be the first time Bannon found himself pitted against the law, as he was facing federal charges in 2020 for conspiracy to commit wire fraud and money laundering, all tied to Trump. And those charges were ultimately pardoned by then-President Trump. But given that Trump is no longer in office, things might not go so easy for Bannon. How do you think this is going to shake out? You let me know in the comments below. Hit me up on Twitter using the hashtag TYTOverruled, and also hit the like and follow button. And thanks for watching.